My name is Bobby Mink with Choice Consulting and Management. Thank you for joining us at Choices Create Change. Our mission is to help individuals and organizations reach their full potential and to inspire that change with passion. Today we'll be continuing our discussion on leadership. It really doesn't matter if it is you individually, your family, or your company. We all know that everything rises and falls on leadership. So let's get started. Let's do a quick review of the first 5 leadership qualities that we discussed on our last podcast. The first one was make others feel safe to speak up. We understand as great leaders that we need to create an environment where people feel comfortable bringing up challenging issues or frustrations or suggestions. And we want to make sure we set up an environment where they feel comfortable bringing information to us. I've been in situations where leaders freaked out or maybe yelled or responded poorly to an employee or a team member or even a family member, and it created a situation where they were very hesitant to speak up or may not speak up again in the future. So we want to make sure as great leaders that we create an environment, a safe environment where people feel comfortable discussing even difficult situations. We also discussed that great leaders make decisions. We don't wait until everything is perfect to move forward and make the decision, but we get enough information and enough advice to feel comfortable, and then we make the decision. I have one client that I work with, and the owner of the company has a reputation of kicking the can down the street. And I was asking, what does that mean? Well, we give him the information, we tell him the need, we tell him the opportunity, and then weeks or months go by before we make a decision. And the opportunity is missed. Great leaders make decisions. We get enough information to feel like we know what's going on, and then we need to make a decision to help the situation and our team move forward. So great leaders make decisions. Great leaders also communicate expectations. We need to make sure that everybody on our team or in our family or in the company, in our department, understand what's expected of them. What did we hire you to do, or what are you in charge of? What is your responsibility? What are you accountable for? But what are the results that we're after? Do we communicate those expectations? Here's a free one for you. If it's not written, it's not real. So having conversations about what should and shouldn't be done are not manageable. We need to make sure these expectations are in writing, reviewed, and they're clear. And we visit those expectations often to see how people are doing, right? So great leaders communicate in writing the expectations of their team members. Great leaders challenge their people to think. We want to make sure that just because we've always done it this way, it's not something that keeps one of our team members in a box. We need to be comfortable with allowing them to think outside the box, push the envelope, try new things, challenge them to think. We need to create the environment and the culture of continuous improvement. How do we always challenge what's going on and try to always move forward to be more efficient and more effective or more profitable or make a bigger impact or have higher customer satisfaction? We need to challenge our team to think, and in the middle of that, create an environment that is safe to bring up those challenges. So great leaders challenge people to think. Great leaders are also accountable to others. It's not that I, as the leader, have all the answers, all the experience, and I know how to do everything. That's not true at all. So if I go off the rails, if I make a poor decision, if I'm not doing my part on the journey, I need to be accountable to those people around me. And I need to create the safe environment where they can challenge or bring up those questions when things don't go well that I may have been responsible for as the leader. So I need to be okay to be accountable to the people around me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right? So great leaders are accountable. Okay, we're going to move on to our next 5 leadership traits today. And number 6 is leading by example. Leading by example doesn't mean perfection. Leading by example means you can follow me as I try to live by and abide by core values and our mission and what we're passionate about and the process we are using. I need to lead by example. If we're going to have a meeting, I need to be on time or early. If we're going to have a meeting, I need to make sure that I've prepped and done my part to be ready for the meeting. If I have a responsibility to turn in a report or have something ready for a presentation, I need to be, as a leader, ready for that and prepped and be on time. I need to lead by example. If it's integrity and is one of our core values, I need to live by integrity. If customer satisfaction is one of our core values, I need to make sure I'm striving to have great customer experiences for my employees, but also my teammates and also my customers. So great leaders lead by example. We try to be as consistent as we can, and we're also a big enough, mature enough person to admit to the team or the department or our family if we were not a good example and explain what happened and what we're going to do to address that in moving forward. But great leaders need to strive to lead by example. Whatever we're trying to do, follow me because that's what I'm trying to do. And if I'm messing up and if I'm not perfect, I can admit that to the team, which is super powerful to help everyone on the team or in the organization understand just because I'm the leader doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm still human. I still make mistakes, but my goal is to lead by example and try to implement everything that we've agreed on to do as a company or department or even a family. So great leaders lead by example. Great leaders also measure and reward performance. One of the things I notice around the country is coaching these organizations is we don't have a lot that's written. We shared earlier, it's not real if it's not written. There's expectations that are spoken. You should do a better job. You should have been early. The report should have had more information. It's all vague and it's all conversation. We need to make sure it's written. It's not real if it's not written. We need to make sure that everybody on that team understands what I was hired to do, what my responsibilities are, what I'm accountable for, but also the results that I'm responsible for in this position, which means we need to be measuring that part of the performance to see how we're doing. And if we don't know how to measure it, we need to figure out how do we start to get together and have conversations and meetings about how do we capture this data. Most everybody wants to know how they're doing. I hear it often. Working with a company in Florida, their number one employee, she's a rock star. Everybody in the company would tell you she's amazing. She's the best person we have on the team. But her filter of herself is, I wish I knew how I was doing. She doesn't receive for herself that she's killing it, but everybody around her does. That particular organization is not measuring how she's doing and reviewing that with her on a consistent basis, right? Here's another free one. The hardest voice to manage is yours. So one of the things that she struggles with, she carries some baggage that I may not be enough, and I'm probably not doing as good a job as I should, and I've made a few mistakes. But if we had a way to measure what she was doing and we could show her and sit down with her once a month or once every 2 months and go over the amazing results, it would be amazing to her, right? But great leaders figure out a way to measure and reward performance. It's not that everybody should get a 2% cost of living raise or, man, Billy hasn't had a raise in quite a while. We need to give him some more money. What we need to do is move toward performance. We need to figure out a way to measure what everybody's doing. How do we review that as often as we can? And in my opinion, we're looking for trends. We're not looking for the amazing day or the amazing week. We're looking for 13 weeks or 26 weeks. We're looking for the trends in our business on how things are going. And then we want to understand if it's trending up, can we figure out why? If it's trending down, can we figure out why? And how do we help our teammates succeed? How do we help the people on our team be rock stars? We want to make sure the people that are crushing it, once we begin to measure the people that are consistently achieving or overachieving, those are the people we need to make sure we reward. We need to reward the behavior that is committed to producing and improving. But the only way we can do that is if we learn to measure. So great leaders figure out a way to measure what's going on in their company and have those conversations with their team members and work on frustrations that may be causing our metrics or our results to be off or below what we think. We need to figure out a way to help those situations. So great leaders figure out a way to measure and reward performance. Another thing great leaders do is they provide continuous feedback. Just as the example that I just gave, the girl in Florida working for this company is not being told how she is doing in any kind of regular process. They do not have annual reviews. They do not have quarterly reviews, and they don't have monthly check-ins. They don't do managing by walking around. So us as great leaders need to figure out a way that we're always providing continuous feedback. How do we create a process where everybody on our team knows where they stand, they know how they're doing, they can see the results of their metrics, and we have a process where consistently we sit down and talk through how are you doing, how's your family doing, what's going on in your life, and then we also get a chance to talk through how work is going. What are you excited about? What have you accomplished? Why don't you brag on yourself? Okay, now tell me a few things that you're struggling with or you think you could do better. Let's spend some time talking through all that. And then I need to try to help them improve the areas where they feel like they're struggling. We need to figure out a way to help them get classes, get training, get new software, whatever it is. We need to figure out a way to help them take their next step forward. But we only do that when we have a chance to sit down consistently and give our people feedback. The best way is managing by walking around. On random occasions, you pop into somebody's office or you pop into one of their meetings and you just do a quick update, find out what's going on, thank everybody for what they're doing and how hard they're working, and then ask if there's anything that you could help them with or anything that needs to be improved that you could help with. Great leaders figure out a way to provide continuous feedback to everybody that's on their team. The next thing great leaders do is we properly allocate and deploy talent. And the first thing I notice coaching across the country is most of us in most organizations don't really understand the people that are on our team and the gifts and passions and skill sets they bring to the job or they bring to our department every day. We haven't developed a process to make sure we understand how they're gifted, what their passion is, what their skill set is. And so a lot of times we have a lot of people in the wrong seats on the bus. A lot of people may be doing the wrong things in our company. Honestly, in some situation, we have the wrong people on the bus, period. We've hired some people and brought them into the company or into the team or in our department, and they're really struggling. And it's because what they're doing doesn't fit who they are, and it's causing frustrations everywhere. And they really don't even need to be on this bus. We need to find the right bus for them. But great leaders begin to figure out, how do we allocate and deploy talent? First of all, we need to begin to create a process. And it doesn't matter if you're 5 people or 50 people or 500 people. We need to create a process where we begin to evaluate. There's DISC, there's Enneagrams, there is 6 Geniuses. There's all kinds of tools out there, and most of them are very inexpensive that help us qualify and do some research and have some questions answered about somebody, about how they're put together, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what they love, what is super frustrating. So before we even allocate our talent, we need to make sure we're finding the right talent before we deploy it into our organization. So we need to begin to create the process where part of our hiring, which most of us are horrible at, but part of our hiring process is making sure we're calling the references, making sure AI or something has helped us create a great questionnaire for this position. The next thing is we need to be brutally honest with what we're inviting them into. I work with a lot of organizations that are really struggling, and we're trying to get better. We're trying to work on systems and processes. But if you join us today, it is a mess. And we need to make sure when we're interviewing you that we're telling you, we're inviting you into a mess. And are you going to be comfortable living in chaos for a little while, right? We don't need to paint some beautiful picture. We need to tell them the truth, because the right people love that challenge, right? But we need to create a process where we begin to discover before we hire how a person's put together, how they're gifted, what their passions are, what their skill sets are. And then does that personality, does that passion and that skill set equal what we think we're going to hire them to do? And does it seem like it's going to be a good fit? And then let's create a 90-day process where you work with us, we work with you, we get to know each other. At the end of 90 days, we're going to touch base. If it's not a good fit for you, no problem. If it's not a good fit for us, no problem, no harm, no foul. We love the 90 days that you gave us, and let's move forward. You need to go find somewhere where you can make a difference. Unfortunately, it was not here. So we need to figure out how to analyze and find the right talent. And then how do we allocate it? You need to have a process as a great leader of where you're going. What are you trying to achieve? And in order to achieve that, what is it going to take? When we answer the question of what it's going to take, it also might answer what staff or resources do we need. So we need to make sure we have a plan of what we're trying to achieve. And then what do we think it's going to take to achieve that level of success or customer satisfaction or profitability or whatever it is we're doing. And the only way we do that, know where we're going, know what talents and positions we might need, and then create a process to onboard somebody, evaluate and test somebody to see if it's a better fit, right? The few times in the few organizations where we've done that, it has been amazing to watch the success rate of a person that acclimates in 3 to 4 months and is making a tremendous difference in a short period of time because we were able to match up the skill set, the talent, and the passion to the job that was needed, the job responsibilities, the accountability, and the results. And the buy-in was dead on the money, and it was a great experience. So great leaders need to learn how to identify the right talent, properly allocate and deploy the talent so we make a bigger difference in our organization, in our department, right? Great leaders properly allocate and deploy talent. The last one for today is great leaders ask questions and seek counsel. There's a statement that you might want to write down that great leaders and managers ask 50% more questions than they make directives. And here's what that means. When you have somebody come to you and says, hey, I need some advice on what to do. And so we tell them, make this phone call, go order that, go have this meeting, do this and this and this. And when you finish, it should be fine. Just go do all that. When we do that and we dictate, when it doesn't work out and we go find the person and say, what happens? Well, it didn't really work out like we thought. So what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. You told me what to do and it didn't work. So what is it that you want me to do? We need to begin to ask questions instead of directives. What's going on? What is the issue? What do you think is causing it? What do you think we might do to solve it? I need to be a resource to help the person on my team, my director, my manager, my employee. I need to be able to help them process through their challenge. But the ownership and the accountability needs to stay in the chair that is being paid to do that job. So great leaders ask 50% more questions than directive. It's the new habit that you need to begin to start to try to learn to develop. It's when somebody comes to my office or comes to my desk or comes to my door and says, hey, I need some help. Can you help me? Let's make sure we ask questions and we give them some advice, but we send them on their way with their accountability and their responsibility. There's a story that talks about monkeys. And the story goes, owner of an organization in his office, an employee stops by the head of sales and says, I've got a situation. Do you think you can help me? Yes, I know how to do that spreadsheet. It won't take me but a minute. Let me do that. Okay, I'm going to take that sales monkey and put it on my back. Operations stops by in a little while, knocks on my door. Hey, we've got an issue with our inventory. I was wondering if you could give me some help. Oh, yes, I created that report. I know how to do it. Let me take care of that real quick and I'll get back to you. I'm going to take the operations monkey. At the end of the day, I have 7 or 8 or 9 different department monkeys on my back, and I already had my own set of skills, my own set of tasks, my own job that I was supposed to do. So now I've got 15 or 20 things that I'm supposed to be doing, and only a handful of them are mine, right? So instead of being the solution and having the answers and making my task list grow, we need to begin the process of asking the question, hang on, tell me what's going on. Okay, what do you think is causing it? Okay, so what are some things that you think you could do to solve it? Do you need anything from me? Resources, a new computer? Do we need to call a meeting? What is it you need from me? Okay, I agree with your plans. I agree with what you've decided. Go ahead and let's do that. And then just touch base and let's see how that went. The whole accountability, responsibility, results are now with the person that just left your office. Right? Great leaders ask 50% more questions than we tell people what to do. And I would say it needs to be even higher than that. Here's what great leaders do. We also seek counsel from others. We are not gifted, the 6 geniuses, we are not gifted in all 6 areas. When you look at DISC, we are not gifted in all 4 areas. Most of us have one major gift and one minor gift, and we're usually not any good at the others. And so what happens is we get lulled into a position where people think we have all the answers, and we allow them to continue to come to us and wear us out and put more and more tasks on us. And all of a sudden, we're the person that everybody comes to. And what we need to do is we need to empower them to own it. We need to empower them to go seek the answer. You go look, you see what you can find out. Same thing for us. If I'm not sure, I need to be able to seek some counsel, call some peers, call some people ahead of me in my journey as an owner and a leader to see if I can't help me and my situation get better. So great leaders ask a ton of questions and take less and less responsibility, take less and less issues from their team members, and allow them to keep and solve and own their jobs. And we also are good at seeking counsel. And that includes reading, podcast, audio books, anything that can pour into us to help us, which will give us more insight and better counsel for the people that work with us and the sphere of influence that our company or our organization or my department is a part of, right? So that's the 10 leadership steps. We've got 5 more to go. Let's do a quick recap. We want to make others feel safe to speak up. We want to make decisions in a timely fashion. We want to communicate expectations in writing. We want to challenge people to think, begin to create the culture of continuous improvement. We want to be accountable to others for our behavior as they're watching us. We want to lead by example. We want to make sure we're measuring and rewarding performance. It's not real if it's not written. Make sure we're measuring and rewarding performance. Make sure we're providing a platform to give continuous feedback to everybody on our team, every department head, every employee, everybody in the organization, or even in our family. Give continuous feedback and create that process. We need to figure out how to put a process in place to understand who we're interviewing and who we're hiring. And is that personality and that skill set going to match the job? So we need to properly allocate and deploy talent. And we need to ask 50% more questions than we make directives, right? So ask questions, and then we need to seek counsel and continue to pour into ourselves. So thank you so much for joining us today on Choices Create Change. Hope you have a great day and see you next time. God bless.